Before you watch this video, please read and listen to the trigger warnings. This video will be discussing sexual assault / rape, specifically when it's being glorified or to be the punchline. If you need to bow out at any time, please do so. Your mental health is far more important than watching this video. I will put timestamps for each example, so if you want to watch parts of the video but not others, you can. After about 5 seconds, the video will continue. Stay safe, and hopefully I'll catch you in another video. Yeah, this is a lot darker of a video. Hello my geeks, freaks, and my peeps, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Chaos, and today we're going to be discussing the very problematic way that sexual assault is handled in Hell of a Boss and Hazbin Hotel. I do want it to be made clear, however, that I personally have been lucky enough to not go through this. However, I know people who have gone through this, and I've heard a lot of survivors talking about this. So I'm coming from an outsider's perspective. So if I say something that's incorrect or I miss an example, that's why. And if I say something wrong or if I misinterpret something, please let me know. With all that out of the way, so the first character we're going to be looking at is Sir Pentious. So Pentious is this oddball inventor who seems to have a mostly one-sided feud with Alistair. He seeks to be the ruler and conqueror of all of the Pride Ring through his inventions, and tiny but mighty egg boys. There is this other character he develops a crush on named Cherry Bomb. Cherry Bomb is as her name describes, and during this episode where she first appears in the series proper, she plans on taking Angel to a bar / sex club, but gets paid by Charlie to take the whole hotel minus her, Vacky, and Alistair, as Charlie and Vacky are going to heaven to plead the hotel's case directly to heaven, while Alistair is, well, we don't actually know what he's up to, probably just some R&R. While some time passes and he plucks up the courage to talk to her, he asks her if he could buy her a drink. And after a light-hearted, sarcastic comment, he immediately panics and announces that he's buying the whole bar a drink, and the crowd roar in excitement. Immediately he's setting up the rule of threes, which, if you don't know, the rule of threes is the principle in comedy where you repeat a scenario with it escalating slightly until the third time where the big punchline happens. Pentious later comes back with 2 shots of something, asking if Cherry would like one. After she gives a curt glare at him, he panics and the crowd cheers even louder. And then we come to the punchline. Pentious finds Cherry at a table and asks,
"You'd want to do a sex with me."
But when she laughs and asks why they would have sex, Pentious freaks out and says he's having sex with everyone, and then is immediately grabbed and then dragged into one of the sex rooms, crying and trying so desperately not to get dragged there. Do you get it? The joke is Pentious is being gang raped. Isn't that just the funniest thing ever? What makes this joke even worse is that in episode 4 tackled how horrific rape and sexual assault is, and in this episode, Angel Dust, don't worry, we're gonna get to you in a bit, is confronting Valentino, his rapist, literally not even 30 seconds later after Pentious gets dragged in. Moxxie is Blitz's employee at Immediate Murder Professionals, a sweet and caring imp who wants the best for his loved ones. Veronica is Blitz's succubus ex-girlfriend and is very bitter about the breakup. Though, with how Blitz broke up with her, it's understandable why she's angry. When Veronica takes IMP's parking lot and rents a studio across from theirs, Blitz is about to throw hands when Moxxie steps up and saying that since he has no history with her and isn't impressed by her pop star status, that it would go smoother with him trying to negotiate. He goes inside the studio where Veronica and 3 other succubi are. When he tries to calmly and nervously talk to Veronica about getting the parking spot back, he is demeaned and sexually harassed. Veronica, who has literally no history with Moxxie, tells him to send a message to Blitz, and then her and the succubus proceed to gang rape Moxxie. Why? What was the point? Half point, I guess, for having Blitz stand up for Moxxie and yelling for Veronica, but seriously, what was the joke here? What were we supposed to laugh at? Oh, haha, the joke is a man getting raped. So this one, not a lot of people might know or have even caught, but yes, Stolas has also been a victim of specifically spousal rape by Stella. In Season 2, Episode 1, we see the day Stolas cheated on Stella. And during the party, we pan to see Stella and her surrounded by her friends. She talks about her sex life with Stolas, all while Stolas stands to the side within earshot. There's a storyline that goes, "No, Stolas is terrible in bed. I swear to fuck, he lays there staring at the wall and I have to do everything. It's embarrassing." Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that a bad thing to do to someone? Have sex with them while they're disassociating? I know a lot of people say that it's complicated, that they needed to make an error, but here's the thing, did we really need that line? What makes it worse is when we pan to Stolas, instead of being embarrassed or fuming, he just makes a funny face and funny bird noises to play. Cause like, that's the joke. The joke is, oh haha, Stolas is bad in bed, and haha, Pentious and Moxxie, don't get what they want. Pentious doesn't get to have sex with the woman he wants, and Moxxie doesn't get the peaceful resolution he wants. I hate to bring up this argument, but like, what if the roles were reversed? What if it was a woman at the butt of these jokes? People would be yelling, kicking, and screaming, rightfully so, saying how it's rude and how it's unkind and how it's inappropriate and how it's not necessary. However, when it comes to all these examples with all of them being men, it's not taken seriously and it's always played for a joke. And that's not okay. Rape is rape is rape. And no matter who you are, rape is not okay, whether you commit or whether it's been committed to you. And so it just makes, yeah. All I can think when I see these jokes, and I say this with the heaviest of air quotes, is that the victim of the rape is the joke, and these moments are never brought up again. Why were these jokes needed? What use were they for the story? The answer is they aren't, but Viv wanted to put them in there because she doesn't understand or actually take sexual assault seriously. And to the people who are writing in my comments, why can't you just take a joke? Here's the thing. I'm not saying you can't have dark humor or about horrible things. I'll partake in dark humor. But it's how you go about it. First off, don't make the victim the joke, and the rape itself should never be the joke. Basically, just use common sense. And if you really want to put in a rape joke where the rape is the joke, just ask yourself this. Would you want that joke being told about you? What if you were in that situation of that character? What if you were, Pentious in this situation where you try to badly flirt with the person and you politely ask if they wanted to have sex, and then you panic and say you're having sex with everyone, but you know it's not true and everyone else around you knows it's not true, but you get getting raped anyway because haha, he gave consent because he is a bad flirt. No. Oh, that's it for the joke characters, and I say that lightly in terms of what the joke is. I'm going to keep this section on the shorter side because I plan on going in depth in my other videos that are coming out hopefully later this year, but this does need to be said. Yes, Blitz is a rape victim. He was forced into a sexually exploitative contract while being hunted. Meanwhile, Stolas was lounging in bubbles, fully aware of what was going on. He is constantly demeaned, even while he protests. His discomfort and protests are rarely, if ever, acknowledged. In the world, writers in fandom ignore, gaslight, and victim blame him at every given moment. Blitz is suspected to give Stolas the world when he never gets so much as an inch in the desert. I'm going to also quote Quilted2Live's comment on my previous Stolas video because they said it best. As a victim of similar relationships, the one thing I don't see mentioned in conversations about Blitz and his abuse from Stolas in regards to his consent is that in sexually abusive relationships, a lot of times the victim will appear to consent because they get used to the mentality that it is all they are in the relationship, so they won't do anything other than lean in fully into it because they think it'll make it easier or act indifferent and still voice their complaints and concerns if it's a non-physically abusive relationship, as in hitting, for example, and no, they won't be hurt for it. And that's exactly what you see in Blitz. It's his coping mechanism. It's him not slowly falling for Stolas. It's him being so mentally checked out that he convinces himself that he's okay with how the relationship is until it breaks him like it did in the mid-finale. I wish that they showed more of how Blitz genuinely fell for him post the quote-unquote breakup, and then just paint as they were always loved each other, they just didn't know how to show it in healthy ways, because that just feels so wrong. And yeah, I fully agree with that. I would also like to add, the thing with abusive relationships is there are moments of happiness. There are moments where you genuinely love the person and they genuinely love you. That's how abuse works. They give you moments of happiness. They give you moments of goodness. That way you stay. That way you come to the conclusion, well, they're not always like this. They're going to better themselves. I know it because I had this moment. That's how a good abuser is. But that is eclipsed by the numerous moments in the constant abuse and sexual assault. And I'm kind of rambling. I kind of went off script with this because it just makes me really annoyed. It's like, just because I just wanted to be said, if you find moments where you were genuinely happy in the relationship, but every other moment you were completely miserable because you were constantly hurt, you were not in a good relationship, and you were not stupid. You were not, faking it because you had some good moments. If there were no good moments, no one would be in abusive relationships because no one would even fall for it in the first place. That's how that works. I don't know if I made sense with that. I hope I did. So with that, Angel Dust is perhaps the most controversial character of the cast, especially on this list. Do I think he's good sexual assault victim representation? I'm going to be honest, I don't feel equipped to make that call, as I am not a victim of this type of abuse. However, many people feel seen by Angel's portrayal. Some say he's a harmful stereotype, with him being a hypersexual porn star who ignores others' boundaries. Some people felt lost and alone with Angel as their comfort character. I can see both sides, so I don't feel right making a call one way or the other. However, I do think he is the best sexual assault representation on this list. His situation is a recurring plot point. His relationship with Valentino is never seen as anything to envy, want, or idolize. Everything from the dialogue to the lighting to the camera work and the music make you feel as small and as scared as Angel is. It is never a joke, it is pure fear. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not saying that he is a good representation in it of himself, because I can't make that call. However, compared to every other character on this list, he is the best, if that makes sense. So, why did I make a video on this? I simply would not feel right omitting such problematic aspects of these shows and not going more in depth onto it. And do I plan on continuing watching the show? Yes, I do feel like there are aspects that make it up for it to me. However, I don't blame people if they can't watch the shows because it makes them feel uncomfortable. I hope that you find this video informative, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!